Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are saying that this is fake news. So today we're bringing you news from Shaw Local News Network. And the news is Jehovah's Witnesses elders sentenced to supervision, community service for not reporting child sexual abuse. Two Jehovah's Witnesses elders were sentenced Friday to 1 year of court supervision, 10 hours of community service, and $250 in fines for failing to report that a congregant was sexually abusing a child. Michael Penkava, 72, and Colin Scott, 88, who have served as Jehovah's Witnesses for decades, each were found guilty March 18th of a Class A criminal misdemeanor charge of violating the Abused and Neglected Child Reporting Act. Their failure as mandated reporters to report the abuse in 2006 resulted in the child enduring sexual abuse for over 12 more years and 300 more times than she should have, Assistant State Attorney Asher Yoash said. He asked that the men be sentenced 12 days in the McHenry County Jail, which would represent 1 day for each of the 12 years of the girl continued to be sexually abused. He also asked that they serve 30 months of community service, pay $2,500 in fines, and be required to complete a mandated reporting program. Both men plan on appealing the convictions, the attorney said Friday. It is possible to act in good faith and still be wrong, says Penkava's attorney, Philip Prosnitz. He had no benefit in this. He did not aid the abuser. As pictured, Judge Mark Gerhardt sentenced Michael Penkava and Colin Scott to 1 year of supervision, 10 hours of community service, and $250 fine during the sentencing hearing Friday, March 25, 2022, at McHenry County Michael J. Sullivan Judicial Center in Woodstock. Penkava and Scott are both elders in the Crystal Lake Jehovah's Witnesses congregation who were convicted last week of misdemeanors for failing to report the sexual abuse of a child, Gregory Shaver. Scott's attorney, Terry Eckel, also said it was pure speculation to say that even if the elders reported the abuse when the girl was 6 years old, that it would have stopped. They said the mother also knew she was being abused and did not stop it or report it. Before sentencing Friday, Penkava said he believed the advice he received from Jehovah's Witnesses World Headquarters in New York in 2006 that he was not required to report to the authorities statements about the child being sexually abused to be trustworthy and accurate. The allegations that Arturo Hernandez Pedreza, a congregant, was sexually abusing the child were instead handled by a judicial committee of 3 elders through prayer and spiritual guidance. The girl reported 12 years later to Penkava that the abuse never stopped, and he then took her to the Crystal Lake Police Department. Hernandez Pedreza, 44, was convicted and sentenced to 45 years in prison in 2019. I had earnest trust and faith in God and the Judicial Committee, Penkava said. I never acted in bad faith. I truly believe I was following the law of Illinois. I am so sorry. Any suffering in this utterly sad situation. I never became a conspirator to cover up the abuse of a child. Penkava's statement Friday detailed his 45 years as Jehovah's Witness, 35 of those as an elder. He talked about his 35 years as a teacher at West Elementary School in Crystal Lake, where he safeguarded and considered his students as his family. Penkava previously wrote as a freelance columnist for the Northwest Herald. He said being a member of Jehovah's Witnesses and following the faith has taught him how to love and respect and has led him on a path of being a good member of society. Scott, who attended the sentencing for his home via Zoom, also detailed his long history with Jehovah's Witnesses. which began at birth. He traveled to different states and to Colombia, supporting the faith and building kingdom halls. He described himself as a law-abiding citizen, loving father, grandfather, and husband of 66 years before his wife died in 2020. Jehovah's Witnesses is an excellent way of life led by principles in the Bible, Scott said. Jehovah's faith led me to be a faithful husband and father. I deeply regret any harm by my actions. Echo describes Scott as a good and decent man, a good, honest man. Penkava and Scott were both mandated reporters since 2002 and in a position of trust in the community and failed the child in not reporting the abuse, Yoash said. When you hear a child is being abused, you don't call legal. You do the right thing, Judge. He told McHenry County Judge Mark Gerhardt. He was a teacher for 35 years. He had been trained. He knew better. Yoash told the judge that a message needed to be sent to Jehovah's Witnesses that if it is not okay to not report child abuse. The elders, Yoash said, warned other congregants to not leave their children alone with Hernandez Pedraza, but did nothing to help the child or alert the community. Prosnitz said that although the attorneys in court have years of legal education and case law to refer to, Penkava had a moment to decide what to do, and he followed the advice of attorneys. For prosecutors to say that Penkava should have known what to do is arrogance on their part and a vast understatement, Prosnitz said. Eckel said there are people in the world who are criminals and they commit crimes. Then there are basic, decent, good people who may have committed a criminal act. He is an honorable member of society for almost 89 years, Eckel said of Scott. He is a hardworking man who supported his family, volunteers, and before the pandemic, visited sick church members in the hospital and in nursing homes. He did not contemplate this would cause harm. He never intended to violate the statute. In asking that Scott receive 6 months of court supervision and a fine, Echo added that he has no question that Scott would today handle such a situation differently. He noted his age and health as a factor in not being sent to jail and said Scott became part of the Judicial Committee after the decision was made by Penkava not to report the abuse. Scott, Eckel said, may have some blame in the situation, but is not exclusive in that blame.